On this edition of Good Day DePaul, DePaul introduces its new men's basketball coach, Chris Holtmann. And the CTA is critical to DePaul students, but it sometimes poses problems. How well is it functioning?
And bike lanes, they're key to bike safety. How available are they in Chicago? I'm Hannah Lopez.
And I'm Princess Siafa, and this is Good Day DePaul. DePaul has a new men's basketball coach. He is Chris Holtmann, the former head coach at Ohio State, Butler, and Gardner-Webb. Holtmann, who was fired in February by Ohio State, has 13 years of experience as a head coach with a record of 251 and 170. At one point, he had 9 straight 20-win seasons and 8 straight NCAA appearances. He was the 2017 Big East Coach of the Year at Butler. At an introductory news conference, Holtmann talked about coaching at DePaul.
We're hard at work right now. I have a staff member here, Jack Owens, who we are hard at work putting together the kind of team, staff, and program and really hitting the ground running. We want this program to be something that all of you who care about this university and this place take great pride in. And we are hard at work making that happen. It's been a lot of hours here in the past couple days, but if there's one thing that I've heard over and over, it's that this city, this state, this city can't wait for this program to be special again. And they are so ready to rally around this program. We will get there. We will get there. And when we do, we'll celebrate together with all those who love and care about this great university. Let's go, Blue Demons.
The Holtmann hiring came after a disastrous season at DePaul. The team ended their Big East season without winning a single game. They went 0-20. Good Day DePaul's Michaela Wilson talked to some Blue Demon fans about this very tough and difficult season.
Another men's basketball season has come to an end, with DePaul making history as the first Big East team to finish 0-20 in conference play. And their overall record of 3-29 is the worst in the team's history. All of this is leaving the DePaul community with a mix of emotions.
It's really disheartening. I mean, I'm especially just jealous looking at the other schools being in March Madness, like Providence and whatever and such, having such good basketball teams, and us, we don't really have anything to cheer for. So it's just really disheartening.
It's pretty disappointing because I thought this was going to be a really fun basketball school. A lot of other schools around us have really big either football, basketball, hockey, any sports that are big, and not even getting one win in conference is kind of embarrassing, to be honest.
It's kind of sad. I mean, we all come out and obviously hope the best for our team and want to have that school spirit, but it's kind of hard when you have that losing streak to kind of bring those people to the stadium.
And it's definitely a little discouraging that I go here and our basketball team is not where it should be. But I mean, I think it just provides room for the future to improve.
The team has faced many challenges this year, especially with head coach Tony Stubblefield getting fired back in late January. Radio DePaul sports reporter Nick Palazzolo feels the university needs to invest more in the team.
So you need an investment from the university. You need to be able to raise and fundraise those NIL dollars from donors. And I mean, part of the reason that I believe that there was a coaching change is because you need to be able to sell donors and boosters on something. Because when you have a team that has 3 losses, they have not won a Big East Conference game since January of 2023, what exactly are you selling them on?
Despite this being a devastating season for the Blue Demons, some students are trying to remain hopeful for next year.
I'm trying to hold a little bit of optimism, but it's pretty hard to, considering they have 3 wins on the season and not a single in the conference.
They just need to get it right, and I'm more confident than I was, let's say, 4 months ago, than this program heading in the right direction.
And now we know what that new direction will be. Chris Holtmann will be the new coach, a coach many people are counting on to turn the program around. For Good Day DePaul, I'm Michaela Wilson.
For many in the DePaul community, the CTA is critical to getting to classes or work, yet it's often been a concern due to delays or crime. I recently looked into how the CTA is currently doing.
They're called ghost trains, meaning they're trains that are not coming, even though the Ventra app and posted schedules say they're just minutes away. This has become a frequent experience for DePaul sophomore Cimarron Baines.
I definitely think I've been late to class like multiple times because of ghost trains. Like it's become like a regular occurrence, and it's not something I necessarily dealt with last year. I feel like especially now that I take the train every single day to come to campus. I don't know if it's just increase in frequency or I just ride the train more, but it's definitely like made me like 10 to 20 minutes late to class like pretty regularly this quarter.
It can be such a problem that the CTA posts on-time performance metrics that show how many times a delay of 10 minutes or more is reported to the control center. And DePaul students riding buses often have similar problems.
I have to try to plan around that because it's really unpredictable sometimes, and especially on days like I have exams and I just need to be to school on time, I don't trust the bus. I gotta get there early.
All these problems led a group of frustrated commuters to form a group called Commuters Take Action. They say the problem started during the pandemic.
We've been working on a lot of different issues. We've been advocating for a return to pre-pandemic service as the world opens back up.
During the pandemic, the CTA saw its ridership drop significantly. Now, DePaul transportation expert Joseph Schwederman says riders are returning.
Transit is heading in the right direction in the sense that we're seeing more people come back. We had some really good news this week. Some big office contracts signed to get people back to work. And we also know that special events and weekends are becoming much more important to transit use, and that market's looking pretty good.
With an increase in ridership, crime can also rise on the CTA. And this makes some riders uneasy.
Especially within like the past several months, I've become a lot more hypervigilant on the train. Generally, always, especially with the red line, I've never felt safe riding it after dark. But now even with the brown line, I get a little bit wary. Especially like during the winter when like the sun sets like 5 o'clock.
Cities like New York have deployed National Guard troops to provide security on their transit system. The president of the CTA's Amalgamated Transit Union, Keith Hill, says Chicago should think about doing the same to boost security on its platforms.
The police got their hands tied with everything that's going on in the city. So any assistance is more than welcome to make passengers, workers, everybody feel safer. They use the system. It's still the best way around the city. But the only way people are going to realize that is they feel safe.
Meanwhile, the CTA announced on March 5th that it's launched what it calls Innovation Studio, an online portal to address rail safety and provide real-time service information at bus stops.
The CTA president has pledged to restore service back to pre-pandemic levels. Whether riders see that improvement is a different story. For Good Day DePaul, I'm Hannah Lopez.
Another form of transportation for DePaul students is bicycles, and many of those students rely on bike lanes for safety. I looked into how well the bike lanes are working.
If you're riding a bike in Chicago, consider this. A group called People for Bikes bring the city near the bottom of its bike-friendly cities, 161st out of 163 cities. The problem? Chicago's 30 miles an hour speed limit for cars on almost every street. The higher the speed limit, the more unsafe streets are for cyclists. Another problem is that streets with protected bike lanes are not always connected, meaning you can take a long-distance bike ride and be sure that you'll end up on a safe street.
Seth Horney is a senior academic advisor at DePaul. When the weather is good, he rides his bike every day to work, but he's always cautious because
there's no bike lanes in my area. So from where I live, Archer and Kedzie, there's no bike lanes until
Horney rides his own bike, but people renting bikes at DV stations face a similar problem. The stations are sometimes located in places where no bike lanes exist. This causes some bikers to either ride on the sidewalk or in traffic. Ted Viller is the communications director for the Active Transportation Alliance in Chicago.
People value transportation options that are healthy, clean, and affordable.
He says people need to feel safe when biking.
There's lots of evidence that shows that more people will be biking if they feel safe while they're doing it.
Last year, there were 40 fatal bike crashes in Illinois, up from just 12 in 2019. Professor Joseph Switterman is a transportation expert at DePaul. He says bike lanes need to be protected.
And so truly protected bike lanes that are separated with curbs, with plastic devices are needed more than just a strip of white paint to say this is a bike lane.
The Chicago Department of Transportation plans to add 150 miles of bike lanes in the upcoming years, but some feel that more needs to be done.
Very quickly, we developed what some consider maybe not world class, but certainly a U.S. class system that has taken traffic lanes away in favor of bicyclists. Now the concern is that we've kind of plateaued, and fatalities and injuries seem to be inching up. So it's really a quandary as to where we go next.
Daniel Laspada is alderman of the First Ward and chair of the City Council's Pedestrian and Traffic Safety Committee. He says improving the state of biking in Chicago is a matter of political will.
I think the plan is there. I even think the money is there. Like if you look at the Chicago cycling strategy for the next 150 miles of bikeways in the city, the majority of them being protected bike lanes, it's a great plan for us to execute on. The challenge continues to be that automatic prerogative controls how infrastructure gets installed across the city. If your alderperson does not believe in safe cycling infrastructure, it doesn't happen.
Charlie Heitenstein, a junior at DePaul, lives in Chicago and rides his bike to school sometimes and every day to work.
I mean, if I didn't have my bike, I wouldn't have my job. I wouldn't know how I'd be able to reliably get to work without my bike. So I've been treating it very much as like a vehicle.
While riding, cyclists face many issues, from dodging cars parked in bike lanes or pedestrians walking in the lanes. In unprotected lanes without raised curbs, cyclists risk getting hit by other motorists. Horning says to combat these problems, enforcement is necessary.
So I think as they build roads, building with cyclists in mind, to give them a space that is theirs. I think we just need better enforcement of the rules and the laws. The places where we do have bike lanes, half the time you can't use them because somebody, like a ride share is parked picking somebody up.
If car drivers aren't going to care about cyclists need to be the ones that care about themselves.
In the coming years, Chicago's Department of Transportation aims to make 70% of Chicagoans live within half a mile of a low-stress bikeway. Low-stress bikeways includes off-street trails, a neighborhood greenway, and protected bike lanes with curbs. Last year, Chicago saw a record 6.6 million trips on DV bikes. The city also installed 27 miles of new and upgraded protected bike lanes. Alderman Laspata is optimistic about the future.
There's a city coming where I can leave the house with my daughter and bike with her to the Major Taylor Trail on the south side and have that be a safe and fun experience and not worry about how we're going to get home together.
In the meantime, Horning says he does more to keep himself safe.
I wear a helmet. I wear obnoxious clothes. So I have a bright yellow shirt that has reflective stuff all over it that my daughter kind of created for me.
Moving forward, the mayor's transition report on biking calls for lower speed limits on some streets and a network of protected bike lanes. Many feel these steps are critical to making biking safe in Chicago. For Good Day DePaul here in Chicago, I'm Princess Siafa.
Barbie. It was one of the nation's most popular films last year, and recently at DePaul, an event was held to celebrate all things Barbie. Good Day DePaul's Asia Thomas was there.
What better way to celebrate a month about empowering women than with a movie created for the same purpose? DePaul University student programming organization, the DePaul Activities Board, kicked off Women's History Month with a Barbie party to highlight the iconic toy and the message in a recent film. The event was held on March 4th and invited students to decorate pink cowboy hats, eat pink desserts, take photos, and mingle. Kat Barcy works for the DePaul Activities Board and her job revolves around planning signature events just like this.
So I'm a very big fan of the Barbie movie, so I really wanted to do an event that's kind of Barbie themed. So I thought that Women's History Month would be perfect. And yeah, I planned it. I started planning it back in December, so it took me about 3 months to plan and to figure out who the vendors were going to be. It was also really important to me to get women-run or women-focused student organizations involved.
The party had guests from DePaul Women in Business, DePaul Panhellenic, and more. The film version of Barbie was released last summer in 2023. Like these organizations, it sought to demonstrate all that Barbie and women could be. Barbie was written and directed by Greta Gerwig and starred Margot Robbie and Ryan Gosling. The film broke several records at the box office and made over $1.4 billion. The film had the biggest opening of 2023 and was Warner Brothers' most successful film of all time. Even more than that, Barbie was the highest grossing film ever for a female director. Barbie follows the doll and her boyfriend Ken as they leave Barbie Land and enter the real world. They quickly find out that the world is not a nice place for women, and Barbie must navigate this new patriarchal landscape. Barbie's popularity last summer had women, men, and children coming out to theaters to dress up, reconnect after the pandemic, and embrace the message. DePaul Jr. Simone Sierra is a film and television major who made sure to see the film in theaters shortly after its release.
I saw it with my mom, so I did end up crying about it. But I think it was really sweet. I also like that it's like a nice mother-daughter story. But I think it really hit the nail on the head about showing what women see the patriarchy as and how men try and like push women down and push our ideas and try and keep us quite literally in a box.
Women's History Month happens annually in March and marks a time to observe women's accomplishments in the past and present. The month coincides with International Women's Day on March 8th.
There's so many important women throughout history who have gotten us to the point that we are now. Like if you look at women's history then to now, there's been so many improvements and so much growth to allow women to express ourselves more and do more things in this world.
Outside of DePaul, Women's History Month is being celebrated all over Chicago with an all-women sketch show at the Second City, a commemorative day at the Chicago History Museum, and a concert by the Chicago Sinfonietta. DePaul Activities Board has yet to announce events for the rest of the month, but we will keep you updated. For Good Day DePaul, I'm Asia Thomas.
DePaul President Robert Manuel released some enrollment figures for the winter quarter. The total number of students was 20,491, a 2% increase from last winter. Undergraduate enrollment was up 2.4%, while graduate enrollment was up by 2%. And next on Good Day DePaul, DePaul's African Ensemble is providing some special music.
That story plus sports when we return.
I think we should split. Split up? Why? I want to meet new people. People who need me. Meet new people? You're my left kidney. You only need one of me, man. And you have two. There are plenty of people out there who are dying because they don't have one. Really? You'll be giving the gift of life. I could be a hero. Yeah. It's all win-win up here, buddy. Why don't you go and save a life, pal? You're doing the right thing.
It's called the DePaul African Ensemble. It features some unique music. Good Day DePaul's Morgan Kirsch has the details.
The DePaul African Ensemble is a group of DePaul Music School students from various majors who share an appreciation for West African culture and music. The ensemble is led by DePaul African drumming and music education professor Avo Randroot. Students who have taken Randroot's course can join the ensemble and build their drum skills for as long as they want. Randroot said his returning student members help enhance their shows.
I've noticed the depth of their understanding and their playing ability keeps elevating. It's fun when we get a few players like that mixed in with the new players, because then the challenging pieces we can pull off and the excitement we can generate is even greater.
The concert featured various songs with West African rhythms using hand drums called djembes and bass drums called dununs. The music came from the Malinke people, West Africans from Mali, the Gambia, southern Senegal, and eastern Guinea. Ensemble member Sammy Fodor said the ensemble group has helped him grow much as a musician.
I 100% steal the rhythms that we learn here and put it on my guitar. It's awesome. It's great for exercises on my right hand and my left hand, coordination, and I use it like practically when I'm playing. So really works out for me. And as a person too, just gets me closer to the roots of the music. Just helps me dive deep into what came before me and helps me better understand how to honor the music of what makes the music that we all play and love today, of all Western music, so it's awesome.
Ensemble member Walker Dean said being in the ensemble was a great educational experience considering he wasn't too familiar with African music before.
I really didn't have much of an understanding of the music before doing it here, but Avo just knows so much about the cultures, and it's so great getting to learn about kind of where like the root of all of kind of popular music these days comes from, because that's kind of where a lot of these African rhythms are kind of the basis of what a lot of modern music is made off of.
Randroot gave a brief explanation of the cultural significance and background of the music before each piece they played. By the end of the show, audience members were brought on stage to learn one of their songs called Cuckoo. Randroot described how he's seen the ensemble's music touch audiences before.
Some of this music they may have never heard, and I can remember young kids coming to some of these concerts and then having some of their parents send me videos later showing them playing drums at home, like they got inspired by coming to see us, and then they're playing drums at home, and even pulling up one of our videos on YouTube and playing along with it.
Dean hopes the ensemble's concerts will help diversify DePaul's music spaces.
I hope that people just kind of become more aware of like the other types of music that are out there. You know, the school here is kind of focused a lot on academic music, and I think bringing other musics like these into the academic space is a great way to expand our horizons.
Randroot ultimately wants the ensemble's concerts to not only be an educational space, but also a space of joyful escape.
Music is for joy. It's for us all to kind of like get re-centered into kind of who we are as people and kind of connect with that creative spirit in you, and to not allow that to be overshadowed by the daily things that can come in to interrupt that.
The DePaul African Ensemble will return to the stage with another performance at the Holtschneider Performance Center June 1st.
In sports, the DePaul women's basketball season is over. The Blue Demons lost to Seton Hall in the first round of the Big East tournament. They finished the season with a 12-20 record overall and 4-14 in the Big East. But there was one bit of good news for the women's team. Guard Anaya Peoples was named to the All-Big East second team. Peoples led DePaul in both scoring and rebounding this season.
And as we reported earlier, the DePaul men's basketball team lost to Seton Hall 86-62. The Blue Demons went winless in the Big East 0-20. They're 3-28 overall.
The DePaul women's tennis team continues their strong opening this season. They beat Marquette 5-2, bringing their record to 10-6.
In men's tennis, DePaul lost 2 in a row, falling to Cal Poly and Grand Canyon. They're now 6-8 on the season. But they have one bit of good news. Their doubles team of Leon Huck and Sven Molzer was named Big East Men's Doubles Team of the Week. The two have won 7 of the 8 matches this season.
And in softball, DePaul opened their Big East season by taking 2 out of 3 from Connecticut. And in honor from the Blue Demons, designated hitter Brooke Quick was named the Big East Freshman of the Week. Quick hit .364 during the weekend series.
And coming up, the AI discussion continues at DePaul.
Today, the heroes that fight day in and day out on the front lines.
Those who are there, innovating in real time, saving lives and answering the call to care in times of crisis. American nurses. Nurses who have been there for each and every one of us in times of crisis for more than 150 years. Nurses are the pillar of strength and the foundation of healthcare and life itself. Nurses are there the day we are born. They are there when your family is in crisis, and they are there in the end. In confronting the most catastrophic health crisis in modern history, we must remember our American nurse heroes need our support as much as we need them. To show our gratitude for their courage and ensure they receive the critical education and support services they need, donate to the Coronavirus Response Fund for Nurses today, in honor of your American nurse hero.
It's called a Career Connections Convention, and it will be held on April 3rd at DePaul. The convention will be hosted by the SGA senators from the Colleges of Business and Communication. It will feature free headshots, review of your resume and LinkedIn pages, panels with professionals, and a mini career fair involving local businesses in the communications and business fields. The convention will run from noon to 4 and will be held in the Daly Building 8th floor conference center on the Loop campus.
The discussion of AI, or artificial intelligence, continues at DePaul. On March 2nd, an AI Lunch and Learn was held at the Jarvis Student Center for Innovation and Collaboration. This expanded on discussions at this year's Innovation Day, discussions that centered on the social good and innovation in the areas of AI, sustainability, and poverty.
That's all for this week's edition of Good Day DePaul. You can keep up with us by visiting our Vimeo channel at Good Day DePaul or by going to goodday.depaul.edu.
And be sure to check us out on Facebook.
And if you have any news tips, message us through the Good Day DePaul social media channels.
Thank you for watching. I'm Princess Siaka.
And I'm Hannah Lopez. Have a good day, DePaul.